going, YouTube? DoctorC3 here, and we are officially back with the CPL Season 2 Week 4 weekly recap video. Now, I know there's been about a month gap since I've uploaded some videos, and I want to explain what had happened. So, in my life, there's been some personal things going on with school, with relationships, with just other stuff that I really am not going to go into detail on YouTube about. Just note that the time was taken off just to kind of recuperate and make sure that everything in my life is going alright. And I just want everyone, I'm going to break the fourth wall here. And for those of you who typically watch these videos, you already know what's going on. But essentially, we're into week 7 here. And there's a lot of weekly recaps that are going to be uploaded day by day. So if you're interested in that, make sure you like the video, subscribe, as a lot of content is going to be posted this week alone, and it's going to be uploaded regularly moving forward. So with that being said, we might as well pay some homage to these previous weeks that have been missed on YouTube here, and we're going to do just that, starting with week 4 here. As you can see up on the screen, we have the San Antonio Spurs facing off against the Kansas City Kingras. Now, at this point in the season, the San Antonio Spurs are 3-0 in the league, and the Kansas City Kingras are 1-2. So, there's statements to be made, right? There's a coach that's undefeated currently, or undefeated as in they're 3-0 right now, and a coach that's 1-2 and is looking to break even at this point. So, a lot of stuff to prove on the line here. As you can see, the teams are going to be displayed on the right, and here are the matches. I already know what happened. I'm just going to break down, essentially, just jumping into it, essentially, the main key plays. So these videos are going to be going a little bit faster, and hopefully, since 3 of them are going to be on Showdown, I hope you guys are enjoying the layout change with the Showdowns matches, at least. It took me a little bit of finagling, but we finally got it to where you can just see the Showdown, and we still have the nice display. Now, without further ado, let's jump in. So, we're going to see, I'm going to play it on normal just for now. So we see Bloat and Toasted. So, Toasted is going to get crit, and the poison is going to be able to unfortunately knock it out. Bit of a shame, but it does get up its sticky webs against Kingras. So, we see sort of a hazard stacking lead options here for the San Antonio Spurs with their Drudagon and their Fungi. Now, we see the Rough Skin, so it's not a Sheer Force or Mold Breaker. I forget its name, I'm drawing a blank right now. So, scratch the Drudagon. So, Fungi here is going to be taking some damage. We saw the Lumberry as the Spore comes out. So, he was kind of anticipating having to fight that Amoonguss with the Drudagon. He's alright with that. Now, some interesting things here. Bolt comes out, has the Hidden Power Ice, going to be able to 2-shot this Drudagon, but in return going to be able to have to sack it off because the Mega Absol comes in. Now, if I had to guess at this point in the match, Mega Absol probably has Pursuit, right? There's a Jirachi and there's a Latios that don't want to stay in on a Mega Absol. So he was kind of forced to stay in and sack Bolt at that time. Bloat is back in here, and it's mainly there to take some hits. San Antonio Spurs making a great prediction, going for Substitute, knowing that he has to switch on Quillfish and Amoonguss. And at this point, he has 2 Pokemon that really resist Psychic moves, and he has 3 Pokemon that are really against Kingdra, that is. And we're going to see a Calm Mind war here, with coaches trying to each go for Calm Mind, trying to one-up the other coach. And the Psyshock comes off. Now, at this stage in the game, if Latios' best move to hit Moonduck is that Psyshock, and it can't even 2-shot the Substitute at, times 3, there's going to be some issues here. So he's just going to keep Calm Minding, making sure that he can break the sub with Psyshock at this point. And this Cresselia here is just going to keep going for Shadow Balls, eventually knock out the Latios, and we have a +6 Cresselia on the board. Now Jirachi comes out, We're going to see the Iron Head come off. It's going to do virtually nothing to this defensive Cresselia, and straight up Shadow Ball just one-shots it. Now, I'm a little curious as to if that thing was scarfed or not, because it did outspeed under Sticky Webs. We didn't really see an item. Poison Jab going to not be able to break the sub. Cresselia is just a monster of a defensive Pokemon, and it's going to be able to take out just so many Pokemon here. You see the rock drop down, and Calm Mind Cresselia just really put in the work. It was able to knock out its two counters, really, Latios and Jirachi, and in the end, in the ultimate end, to be able to sweep Kingras to Plays games. Now, I do want to make note that you know, Kingras didn't play bad. It's just he had half his team weak to Cresselia, and San Antonio Espers knew that on paper, save Cresselia, find an opportunity to Calm Mind, and I think if Kingras should have found a better way to stop this Cresselia from getting up so high, especially with that monstrous defensive stat, it was able to take a lot of hits underneath the sub and not be able to break that. So, good stats for the San Antonio Espers, and with that, they're going to move 4-0 in the league. Kingras plays games 1 and 3. Not a favorable position, but I have faith that he'll be able to bounce this season back. Next up, we have Aaron and coach of the Roman Empoleons versus Enigmatic Elecmortars, Mr. Carbonite, coach. You know, coach of the Enigmatic Elecmortars, of course. I don't know why I phrased it that way, but it is what it is. Now, at this point in the game, Roman Empoleons are in fact 1 and 2, and the Enigmatic Elecmortars are also 1 and 2. So, a chance for both teams to break even here. Only one will prevail. We're going to jump right into it. You can see the teams on both sides, and I do want to make a note here that we see the Slowbro come up for Mr. Carbonite. Up until this week, he had Slowking, and he made 2 trade transactions. The first being Slowbro for Slowking, and the second is Ribombee for Masquerain. Now, Masquerain and Ribombee, they both kind of do similar things. They set up Sticky Webs, although Mr. Carbonite really values Intimidators. In fact, he has 4, I believe, at this point on his team, really making sure that defensive threats don't hurt it. Some interesting strategy, and I think he figured Slowbro is much better than Slowking in some aspects. He really wanted that defensive bulk and that regenerator ability still retaining its value and having that water and psychic typing. Interesting stuff there. Also, yeah, that's all I have to say about those trade transactions. As we move and progress through these videos, I'm going to be addressing each and every trade sort of this way. It just makes it a little bit easier instead of having to go through the document at the end of the video. I know people click out. I mean, it's fine. You guys can click out. But this way, you know, all the coaches get the recognition appropriately at their time. So, we're going to jump into this video. I know what's going to happen. Let's find out for you guys what is going to happen here. And we're going to see Hydreigon going out for the U-turn. Now, right off the bat, we know that probably is going to be a Scarf Hydreigon, just because that outsped that Staraptor. So, some things to note there. The Purple Meanie is going to go for an Ice Beam, and Aaron sees that, you know, Nidoking might be special and might pack the Ice Beam for the Zapdos. He's not risking it. He goes into Vaporeon. Now, Komala is going to be able to Toxic, and that's sort of a crucial thing, right? If he doesn't have Heal Bell on Vaporeon and he doesn't have Aromatherapy on that Roserade, he's not going to be able to get rid of that Toxic, and Vaporeon's not a fan of the Toxic ailment. Rest, he can deal with, you know, I'm trying to think of what it is. Paralysis he can deal with, but Toxic, not so much, right? So Nap Time really put it in the work here. Not going to be able to retain any statuses itself, as we see the Agility Baton Pass go out into Mawile. So Aaron's trying to set up his Mawile with some speed, trying to make sure that he outspeeds things like Cortana, Xurkitree at +1, that Staraptor, which he just is able to knock out with a Play Rough there. So that Play Rough is going to be one of its hardest hitting moves. So he goes out into the Hydreigon. We know this thing's Scarf. Dark Pulse is going to be a 2-shot, so he most likely is going to be able to switch out here into that Zapdos. He's going to try and set up that speed again, if I had to guess, for that Mawile, as Nap Time is just going to keep wishing and making sure that it just stays in here and is as healthy as possible. Ugh, tongue twisters there. We're going to see the Toxic come out again onto the Zapdos. Again, one of those things where Aaron's team is bulky, and we're going to see if Zapdos has any reliable recovery later on as it starts to get whittled. So Roserade is going to come in. The times 2 speed is going to outspeed most things, and we see Kamala hanging on here. I'm going to see if it has a Wish Protect. He's going to go straight for the turn, trying to do as much damage as possible to this Roserade, and trying to predict the Energy Ball. You're going to see the Paper Cutter, even though it's 4 times resisted. Actually, I don't know if Steel resists Grass or not. I believe it does. I don't know. That's an oversight on my end. I should know this thing. But a lot of switching games trying to predict the immunities here. Mr. Carbonite does a good job getting his Nidoqueen back in, but not going to be able to get that knockout here. So just a lot of switching. You can just see why that Regenerator on Slowbro is such a valuable asset to have. As Zapdos comes out, we're going to see that Wish is going to be able to fully recover it. It wasn't going to be a roost set, and just a lot of switching trying to maintain health here on Aaron's side with that Wish passing, and Kartana is trying to get in and threaten some Pokemon out. So Vaporeon does show that it does have the Wish Protect, and the Paper Cutter itself, Kartana, is mainly here trying to make the predictions, Smart Strike, things like that, Leaf Blade. And you see Aaron's doing a good job at trying to preserve the momentum here. We're already in 30 turns, there's only been 1 knockout, so we're going to see the agility again, most likely baton passing into that Vaporeon this time. So we're going to have a speedy Vaporeon, going to be able to pass off those wishes faster and not be able to protect him. Probably go for like things like Scald and stuff. Yep, we're going to see the Scald come off, and the Scald burn does connect to the Ethernet, which is bittersweet, right? We know that it can't be toxic at this point, not that Aaron may be running it. So if anything, the burn isn't going to hinder it as much as it is a special monster. So I'm going to see it, going to be able to 2-shot this Hydreigon here just with Thunderbolt alone, but he doesn't want to risk it, right? He knows that this Hydreigon's scarfed. He's going to go on to Kamala and sack it off. At this point, it's been a defensive monster on Carbonite's end. And goes into the Purple Meaty, which is going to take out that Hydreigon as Tapu Lele comes in. And yeah, he stays in with the Nidoking, most likely indicating that he was scarfed after all the switching earlier. And Tapu Lele is most likely locked into itself here. We saw the Shattered Psyche come out for the Slowbro, so that's why we didn't see anything like leftovers earlier. And they're both trying to abuse the Psychic Terrain here, as Slowbro is going to be able to win out that situation, but Aaron makes a good read and gets the Water Absorb up on Vaporeon. A lot of defensive pivoting, and Aaron able to preserve this momentum with that Wish Vaporeon here, just making sure he can eat the hits and come back out and slowly whittle Carbonite's team. As we do see the Moonblast come off, and Kartana comes in, forces out the Lele, as Smart Strike does come out. Not going to be able to do a lot to Zapdos. The Night Slash does get the critical hit, but it's not going to be able to take out the Zapdos there. And the Heat Wave is missed, and that's a big player there, right? We know that Kartana wasn't going to be able to live the Heat Wave, as Roserade does indicate that it is scarfed itself at this point. And Ethernet is going to be able to come out, lock itself. I don't believe it locks itself into Hidden Power here, but does do a lot of damage as Tapu Lele just comes in one-shots. And if I am incorrect on this statement. I believe that Aaron brought 3 Scarfers in Tapu Lele, Roserade, and Hydreigon that match. So Vaporeon there primarily just to heal up the rest of the team. Agility Baton Pass for Vaporeon and Hydreigon. A lot of support for his Scarfers and just trying to do damage and making the reads there. So good match from both coaches. A solid 3-0 victory in Aaron's favor. Mr. Carbonite really doing a good job trying to toxic whittle down Aaron's team there with that Komala, really hanging in there. As Tapu Lele gets 3 kills that match, and all the kills on Carbonite's end spread out between Kartana, Nidoking, and Xurkitree. Our last showdown match for week 4 is going to be Pip and the Atlanta Arcanines facing off against John or Ty. I don't really know if the coach change happened at this point, but it did happen at some point in the league, so I might as well address it. John, the former coach of the Nasty Nidokings, has been replaced by Ty. I have to go back and see which week this is, but that is some vital information. I want to make sure that the coach gets the proper credit for the match. And yeah, this is going to be our 3rd replacement for the season, but fear not, we are making progress. So, like I said, Pip or Ty in the Nasty Nidokings. 2 deadly teams. The Atlanta Arcanines are actually 0-3 going into this match, and the Nasty Nidokings are in fact 1-2. So they both have a losing record at this point in time. However, that could change for possibly one coach. And you know, Pip really trying to make a statement here and trying to get a win, his first win of the season. So we're going to see how this match fares out. Pip brought the Electric Core with Tapu Koko and Alola Raichu here. And we do see the very dangerous Zygarde, Celesteela, Blacephalon Core for the Nasty Nidokings. I do believe this is John, now that I recall. This is in fact John. I'm sorry, Ty, I know you jump in at some point, and I'm sorry, John, I hope you're watching, and if you're not, it happens. So yeah, let's just start this matchup. I don't know why it's playing in super fast mode, should have been in normal mode here. So we're going to see the Mega Medicham going to be able to evolve, in Alomomola is just going to stay in and eat that hit. Fearing the Skull Burn, switches out on Rotom-Mow, gets it on the first try. As Edward switches in on the Will-O-Wisp. Not a good thing considering that Scissors are primarily physical hitters to begin with, especially Mega Scissors. And this is going to be a support Mega Scissor set, right? So Tailwind going to be able to let Alola and Raichu outspeed this, this, gosh diggity darn, Celesteela. So he switches out on the Zygarde, and Pip actually predicts this, goes for the Hidden Power Ice after the Nasty Plot. That's going to be able to one-shot the Zygarde. And without Zygarde being able to set up, Pip is in a prime spot, right? He got rid of the ground type that would threaten Tapu Koko and Alola Raichu. And other Pokemon for that matter, because Zygarde is a monster. So he's just really trying to use his support Pokemon like Edward and Alomomola to really make sure that Alola Raichu and Tapu Koko really put in the work here. So the pursuit is going to come off. He thought maybe the Blacephalon would switch, and the Blacephalon tried to go for a Shadow Ball, predicting it. Some interesting stuff there, as both of them do stay alive. And you're going to see Alola Raichu really puts in the work here. That Thunderbolt going to be able to do so much to Grapefruit, around 83%. That's just amazing. We're going to see Fusion Bolt come out, and judging by the way this Kieran Black is played, it's most definitely choice in some fashion, as it just repetitively spams Fusion Bolt. Going to be able to two-shot this Empoleon here. So now Medicham's gone, the priority Zygarde's gone, and Empoleon, the defensive Stealth Rocker, most likely. As Alomomola is just slowly trying to whittle down Celesteela, keeping around for a Blacephalon possibly. As Leaf Storm, you're going to see it does nothing to Kieran Black. And Kieran Black, knowing that his Scarp is going to be able to put in some hefty work here, he goes for Ice Beam. And John does predict that well. Goes out into Celesteela as he doubles into this Blacephalon here, and judging by the way that it came in, it was most definitely choice in some fashion too. So a lot of switching, just trying to gain momentum, and Pip is just trying to maintain his ground here and make sure that he has his win cons that could be able to beat Celesteela, Blacephalon, and Rotom-Mow. So you're going to see Cappuccino trying to get some work in with Thunderbolt, as we do see the substitute, and that's pretty big, right? So this electric terrain, even though it's electric terrain boosted, it's not going to be able to break the sub on Tapu Koko here. So Tapu Koko behind his sub, throwing off the Thunderbolt, going to be able to knock out Celesteela. Twinkle Tackle is going to be able to knock out Rotom-Mow, and any hit should be able to knock out Blacephalon with its low special defense stat, as we do see that come up. So we saw Tapu Koko putting out 3 kills that match, along with Kieran Black, Scarf, or Choice Kieran Black. We can't really say what Choice said it was, but judging by its play, it looked like it was going to be Scarfed. And it's going to be a 6-0 for Pip and the Atlanta Arcanines, who were previously 0-3, so it's a big statement, showing that the tides might change for the team. We'll see moving into the future. And for John, like I said, you know, I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Unfortunately, we do have a new coach for that team. So with all of that said, let's go in and jump into the 2 remaining Showdown matches, or I'm sorry, not Showdown, the 2 remaining DS matches, and they're going to be covered a little bit more slow just based off the pace, and I'll see you guys soon. So before we jump into this video, I want to sincerely apologize. During the saving of the slide, I don't know how it happened, but I must accidentally click Kansas City's logo. So I promise you, Seattle Siegers versus the Fall Arbor Flames. You already watched Kansas City play against what I believe was the San Antonio Espers. So fear not, I'm sorry, I apologize. Azazel, you know, that's very wrong of me to not be able to edit, but this video is already 3 weeks late, so I'm trying to push this out as fast as I can. Now, we're going to see both teams, of course, on the right, same gist there. Azazel bringing the powerhouse with Weavile, Igalopunny, Salazzle, Necrozma, things that can set up, things that can hit hard. On Sheppy's side, we see the Tornadus, the Cavalion Swampert, Torkoal, Luxray. A lot of those, aside from Infernape, have a lot of natural bulk and some decent typings just to be kind of bulky Pokemon. So we're going to see, maybe with Infernape and Torkoal, we're going to see the Sun, and Salazzle is going to really like the Sun if given the opportunity. So let's jump into this video. It's going to take a second here for it to load. Like I said, these are going to go a little bit slower than the Showdown matches, and I apologize for that. It's just the way that it is. So we're going to see Shemp's going to send an Almond that is the Swampert, right? So Swampert lead, we're going to see Disco come out, Necrozma lead. If I had to guess why they led them, both of them are probably their Stealth Rockers. Disco's going to go for Calm Mind, and Almond's going to go for Toxic, right? So he's fearing that this is going to be a setup Necrozma. He wants to Toxic. He wants to make sure that it can't really do a lot of stuff here. So Toxic, we're going to see Stealth Rock here. So this most likely is going to be a defensive Swampert of some variant or support. Earth Power comes off. We're going to see a critical hit at +2. That's going to do a lot, but the Roar comes out. So Toxic Roar, interesting set. It's kind of counterintuitive, right? You want Toxic to rack up, but Roar Stealth Rocks can be vital, considering he has a Weavile and a Noivern that doesn't appreciate the rocks, along with the Salazzle could potentially break a Sash here. So we're going to see that Weavile come out, and you saw how much, 25%. You do not want to be taking that Stealth Rock damage, as Almond's just sitting here just roaring away. So Shempy not really favoring that Swampert. He knows it did its job setting up hazards here. Aside from maybe Defog Noivern, I believe the rocks are here to stay. And Infernape, the Louie comes out here. Now Louie's going to be able to threaten out that Weavile. Weavile has priority in Ice Shard, which can outspeed it, but Infernape has Fake Out, Mach Punch, and Vacuum Wave. So some things that can out prioritize it, and it's going to be able to U-turn on this Clefable. So Infernape comes out, goes out into Lightning McQueen, which is the Torkoal. So Torkoal comes in. We do see the Drought. It is not going to be the White Smoke, I believe, is its other ability. So this is also going to be a setup Robert here. So bringing a lot of setup. Shempity at this end, probably thinking that he shouldn't have sacked off his Almond because it's going to be able to roar out other setup users that are still alive. And we're going to see that does absolutely nothing. We do see the Lava Plume. So most likely this is going to be especially defensive variant. Just judging based off the damage it did to Torkoal. Otherwise, I'm underestimating Torkoal's natural bulk. And Sludge Bomb does come off. Back out on the disco here. So Shempity, he's fearing that this thing's going to be able to Earth Power him again. He's not dealing with it. He goes into Tornadus trying to predict as he just goes for the Calm Mind. So Tornadus is in here. We're going to see if it's a defensive set, or if it's going to have the physical choice scarf set, maybe to outspeed some of his other things like Lopunny, as we do see the Taunt. So Taunt is a crucial move. Good ends from Shempity, stopping that Robert, stopping that Necrozma from setting up even further than it already has. And so he's a Taunt U-turn set, most likely going to be a defensive variant of some sort, just trying to really support the team. As McQueen's going to come back out, set up the Sun. And at this point in the match, with the Sun up, we're going to see if Infernape comes in and kind of gets the job done, right? So we don't see any burn damage, and I forgot to mention this, so Robert is going to be a Calm Mind Magikarp set. So pretty cool. Bluetooth and Noivern comes out. Now Noivern hits like a truck, but we saw how especially defensive this Torkoal is, so it'll be interesting to see if Shempity stays in, as it does go for the Defog. So he was packing Defog. Interesting for a Noivern, considering how weak it is to Stealth Rocks, to be packing Defog. So good prep on Fall Over Flames end, knowing that Salazzle doesn't want to be taking it, Weavile doesn't want to be taking it, Noivern doesn't want to keep taking it. So we do see Earth Power come off, and that's just going to straight up bop this Salazzle. So Salazzle tried to set up a Nasty Plot, and Shempity said, I'm not afraid of your Salazzle, I'm just going to Earth Power you, get up out of here. But Bluetooth is going to come back out. It's going to go for the Draco Meteor. You're going to see it took that hit relatively well, right? That was a Draco Meteor from a Noivern. The Poison is going to be able to come out and kill this Bluetooth. So Sludge Bomb, 30% chance, just like Scald, other moves. Now Lopunny is going to be able to easily threaten out McQueen. And it looks like McQueen is going to stay in here. So Mega Lopunny going to be able to claim this turtle with Power Up Punch, and it's not going to be able to knock it out while Torkoal is a monster. So a little bit interesting, right? So he saves Torkoal, most likely to set the Sun for Infernape at a later cause. As Power Up Punch, we're going to see Hugh Hefner out now getting the +2. And I don't know if this defensive Tornadus is going to be able to take a +2, and it's a Power Up Punch last resort. So good set on Fall Over's end, and that's just going to be able to do massive damage. So Shempity goes out into Louis. This most likely is packing the Fake Out plus the Vacuum Wave or Mach Punch. So we see the Fake Out. If it's Fake Out, it's most likely Mach Punch. So we're going to see the Mach Punch come off, and that is going to be able to knock out the Lopunny. So we're seeing why Infernape is valuable at a tier 1, right? It's going to be able to knock out a Lopunny, which usually sweeps, and U-turn just doing nasty damage. But we do see the weakness policy finally activate for Fall Over, so kind of showing off what kind of set it was. That's why it was called my weakness policy, just trying to be bulky, trying to get as much done. Baratheon just gets straight up decimated by an Earth Power right after the weakness policy. I don't know if Seattle was predicting that, but he knew if he got Louis back in and be able to Fake Out and take some other damage, U-turn possibly, try and gain some momentum. So we're just going to see the Fire Punch instead. He's saying, I don't fear the Weavile in the back, so I'm going to knock out this. He's going to go out into Krampus, and even if he has Ice Shard, I'm going to be able to live it and go for the Mach Punch and secure the victory here. So Seattle Siege is going to be able to take a 3-0 against the Fallover Flames. Some interesting stuff, right? We saw a lot of setup with Clefable, Lopunny, and Salazzle, and Necrozma. Wow. And I mean, Noivern and Weavile is just a hyper offensive team for Azazel, and Shempity just had the bulk with Torkoal and Swampert there to really take some hits early on in the game. Now, with that match reviewed, we're going to search and go into the last, DS match of week 4. So the last matchup is going to be Bloody Skarmory, coach of the Vancouver Volcaronas, versus Brandon and the Seattle Super Skeptiles. So both of these coaches at this point in time are 2-1 in the league, and both of them, interesting enough, are coming off 6-0 victories in their week 3 matchup. Now, I understand that the Skeptiles 6-0 was due to somewhat of a forfeit in some fashion, and of course, the 6-0 victory for Bloody Skarmory was against the Fallover Flames, where Togekiss was just too strong in that matchup. Now, we're going to jump right in. You can see the teams on the right. As always, we're going to see what they brought on the left. As you can see, this is the first time anyone's watched it since it's been uploaded. So, spoilers, now you know. I don't even know what's going to happen in this matchup. I'm commentating over it. I'm just trying to pick up the plays that I think are more valuable. Of course, I know what the score sheet says and what Pokemon put in the work and what didn't. So, Gyarados is going to come out against the Darmanitan. It's most likely going to be an Intimidate set, if I had to guess. So, we do see the Intimidate from Leviathan come off into the Darmanitan. As it is a Mega Gyarados, it's going to Mega Evolve. It's not fearing the fighting move, apparently. It thinks that it can knock it out with a Waterfall here, or try and go for the flinch on the Darmanitan. Now, if this Darmanitan is Scarfed, which it does reveal that it is, I believe, unless Mega Gyarados doesn't hit the same speed tier as Darmanitan. I don't believe. Yeah, Mega Gyarados actually is slower than it, so we don't really know what that item is. I apologize. So, Hitmonchan comes out. Gonna be able to scare out this Gyarados here as Rufus comes in as a double for the Skeptiles here. Come off into Garchomp. So, I don't really know if Garchomp wants to stay in on this Mew. Maybe it was predicting something else to come out instead of the Mew. But T-Tars is going to be able to come out and set up the Sand. So, we know that Skeptiles did bring the Sand Core this week, but not all of it. He brought the Mega Garchomp, but not the T-Tar. So, or I'm sorry, he did bring the T-Tar. He didn't bring the Excadrill. That's what I meant to say. Rufus coming out. Interesting enough, considering that Tyranitar does typically pack Pursuit. So that was a scary play on his end, but he wanted to get up the Stealth Rocks here. So this is more of a support T-Tar. And it's going to switch. It doesn't want to stand on the Haxorus. He's trying to prevent it from setting up. And he goes out in a Crobat, right? So making the play here, Vancouver Bloody is going to be able to go for the Rock Slide and two-shot this Crobat, especially after Sand negating the recovery here. He hits both Rock Slides and Crobat does go down. The critical hit obviously didn't matter, judging just based on the health alone. So Haxorus already picking up the lead here for Bloody Skarmory as Garchomp comes out. So Garchomp, if it just has to stay in, is going to be able to Mega Evolve. Haxorus does get forced out at this point in time, and there's going to be a big hit coming out for Mega Garchomp if it stays in. So that's exactly what it's going to happen. Escavalier, Bug Steel is going to be able to hit decent amounts, and we do see it is a shiny Mega Garchomp. So as a Swords Dance comes off, so not only is this a Garchomp at base 170 attack, but Swords Dance is just going to be able to straight up bop in a Escavalier. What Pokemon known for its defenses, it just gets one shot. So Mew comes in, and we see that it does have the U-turn here. So we don't really know what Mew wants to do yet. but Miltank comes out and Garchomp's gonna go for the Earthquake, and even a defensive Miltank you saw almost got one-shotted from a +2 Garchomp. That had to have been defensive, and Miltank on Vancouver's side goes down. So Garchomp picking up 2 kills already in this matchup, just proving that Mega Garchomp can be a threat in Draft League format, as Mew decides to show off its hidden tech here, outspeeds, and of course just bops this Garchomp. So Darmanitan comes out now. Now, judging by the way Darmanitan came out, we most definitely know that it's going to be choiced, and it's definitely going to be choice Scarf. He's not fearing the speed. I'm going to see if he U-turns again, or if he decides to stay in and go for the dark move, and he just goes straight up for the Flare Blitz. So Leviathan not going to be able to take it just because it's the Darmanitan Flare Blitz. Goes down, and Haxorus is going to be able to take it though at the health range that it is at. Hopefully, for Skarmory's sake, it's going to be able to force out this Darmanitan. Maybe he doesn't need it anymore, but he decides, you know what, it's scarfed at outspeeds, I'm going to save it. Goes right back out in the T-Tar. Sets up the Sand again. The Sand Abuser, Garchomp, obviously missing now at this point, as Earthquake is just going to be able to hit the T-Tar just excruciatingly hard. Not one-shot it, but get it down to a low enough health where it can't really come back in. So Sceptile's sack it. Vancouver in a good spot. Haxorus already picking up some major kills in this game. 2 already. I'm gonna go for the Earthquake on Hitmonchan. You can see it outspeeds, and that's 3 for Haxorus, and it looks like it's just going in with Earthquake here. So Jolteon's gonna come out, and Sceptile's running out of Pokemon here. It's gonna be able to threaten out Haxorus as he goes into Lurantis. Now Lurantis is gonna be able to take this. He's going to be able to take this Shadow Ball really well, and because of the contrary, it actually picks up a special defense increase instead of decrease on the Shadow Ball. So Shadow Ball doing less than what it normally does. As Superpower does put Jolteon in range for another Life Orb to knock it out. So Shadow Ball comes off. It's going to die to its own recoil. Lurantis technically is to kill or knock out on the spreadsheet here, as Zem goes back into Scarfed Darmanitan. So he has to lock himself into Flare Blitz, and with that being said, there is a Togekiss, or I'm sorry, not a Togekiss, there is a Haxorus who resists it in the back. At the health range of 61, it should be able to live the Flare Blitz. I'm sorry, it's also Scarf, so it's going to be able to outspeed. I don't know why that was such an oversight, and I apologize for the coaches watching and for the people watching. I should have known by the way it was coming in, and I should have just understood that earlier, that it was Scarfed, and I messed up on that play. So Scarf Haxorus picking up 2/3 of the kills for the Volcaronas here. And of course, Garchomp and Darmanitan picking up the only kills for Sceptiles. Interesting sets from both coaches, and if you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to, like I said, leave a like, comment down below if you think these videos are getting better, if you like the new layout with the showdown teams. There's going to be a lot more showdown teams coming forward, and I should have videos uploaded pretty much daily since we're behind, and I apologize for all that. And like I said, I'm trying to review some of the key plays, not necessarily every play. On the DS it's a little bit slower, so I just tend to fill in the time by reviewing more plays, but on Showdown, you know, you guys can read, you guys essentially see what happens. You know, why do you need me to explain every detail? It's more the important rules as to how the coaches were able to pick up their victory. So at the end of the day, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and of course I'll catch you in the next one.